Two poor siblings spend their earnings to buy new clothes and food for orphan kids in shelters. One day, they find hundreds of thousands of dollars in their bank account and get a call from a stranger who changes their lives overnight. It still feels like we left the shelter yesterday. Don't you think so? Adrian asked his twin sister Susan as they packed food for the kids in the two shelters in town. It's been 3 years since we bid goodbye to that place, but I can still hear my roommates' voices in my head, Susan replied. And the way we used to smile sharing the good news when someone got adopted by a loving family. How can we easily forget our lives there? That place has given us so much, and it will take a lifetime to return all that love and care we received. Adrian teared up as they got ready to visit the kids. The siblings, both 21, had spent most of their childhood at a shelter for orphans. They moved out 3 years ago and tried different jobs before settling down as servers in a restaurant. Every month, Adrian and Susan visited 2 homeless shelters in town to greet the kids and give them new clothes and food. Though they had little for themselves, they were selfless and kind. They split their earnings, setting aside enough for their rent and groceries, and spending the rest buying necessities for the kids. "Oh dear, you too. I'm so glad to see you again." The caretaker in one of the shelters greeted them. Soon, all the children flocked around the siblings, jumping, laughing, and screaming as Adrian distributed new clothes, toys, and food. The siblings spent the whole day laughing and playing with the children, and soon it was time to say goodbye again.
Before we continue, please take some time to subscribe to Dailydose, like and share this video with your friends. It might brighten their day and inspire them to do good. Also keep watching because an important lesson awaits at the end of the video.
"When will you come again?" the children asked, tearing up. Adrian and Susan saw them all dewy-eyed and upset, so they promised to visit again soon. They happily returned home, looking forward to their next payday, so they could shower the children with more gifts. But an unexpected blow awaited them instead. "What is it, Adrian? You look worried. Is everything okay?" Susan grew anxious after seeing her brother staring at his phone. "No, I was just wondering about next month. We have to pay rent. We're out of groceries and the debts. The charity account hasn't been help either." A year ago, Adrian had set up a charity account to raise funds for their mission. The money had been drained, and it left them worried if they would be able to continue helping those kids. "We've run out of savings, but we can't stop helping those kids, Susan. They need our help. We need to figure out something." A few weeks later, Adrian and Susan revisited another shelter. They brought food but not toys or clothes because they didn't have enough money. Despite their struggles, they didn't want to disappoint the kids. Seeing Adrian and Susan felt like a feast for the kids. They screamed and ran around collecting treats, but a lonely little boy in the corner drew Adrian's attention. "You see that kid? He seems new here. And why is he sitting alone? Let's go find out and give him something nice to eat." Adrian and Susan walked over to the boy, unprepared for the tear-jerking discovery they would make after seeing the birthmark on his right hand. "Hey, what's your name?" Adrian asked the boy as he gestured for Susan to take a look at his right hand. "His birthmark is exactly like ours. Who is this boy?" "We haven't seen him here before," Susan whispered. The boy looked sad and lost. He refused to respond and shyly spoke up after Adrian kept asking. "My name is Bobby." "Hey Bobby, how old are you?" "I'm 8 years old." Adrian and Susan soon learned that Bobby was recently sent to the shelter after his parents died. But what puzzled the siblings was the boy's birthmark that was identical to theirs. They suspected they had a biological connection with Bobby, so they took a DNA test with the boy. 3 weeks later, their suspicions were confirmed. Bobby was their brother. They were stunned. That could only mean one thing. Our parents were in this same town. Why did they abandon us? And why didn't they come for us? Adrian wondered. Adrian and Susan tried to figure out why their parents had deserted them, but never found any answers. They started visiting the shelter weekly to spend more time with their brother. One day, they were told that Bobby would be adopted and soon leave the shelter to live with his wealthy adoptive parents. The revelation delighted Adrian and Susan because they wanted Bobby to live a beautiful life unlike theirs. A few days later, during another visit to the shelter, Adrian and Susan met Bobby's future adoptive dad. They introduced themselves to the man as Bobby's siblings. Siblings? The man, Frank, asked. Yes, I'm Adrian, and this is my sister, Susan. Adrian said, we were raised in a shelter like this. We work in a restaurant and help orphan children in shelters. We just recently discovered that Bobby is our brother, and we are so happy he's going to be adopted. That's interesting, Frank chimed in. But how are you able to help so many kids? You said you work in a restaurant. How do you manage your own expenses and still help others with your salary? We combine our earnings, and sometimes people donate money to our charity fund. We know it's tough, but we're not going to give up because the smile on those kids' faces when they get these surprises is priceless. Adrian's reply moved Frank's heart, so he thought of a way to reward the kind siblings. A few days after Bobby's adoption was finalized, Adrian came home shouting with joy and confusion. Susan, look, this is unbelievable. Someone donated $200,000 to our charity fund. It's so much money, Susan. We'll be able to improve the lives of all the children in the shelters. Just then, he got a call on his phone from a number he wasn't familiar with. Hey, Adrian, my boy. The man on the other end greeted. Hello, who is this? Adrian was startled. I hope the money I transferred will improve your lives, yours and Susan's. Were you the one who deposited $200,000 to our account? Yes, Adrian. Adrian couldn't believe his ears. He dropped onto the couch in shock because it was a tremendous amount of money, and nobody had been as generous before. He asked the stranger for more details, only to learn that he was none other than Bobby's adoptive father, Frank. I didn't expect this, sir. Thank you so much, was all Adrian could say to the generous man. Adrian, I will fund your charity from now on. You don't have to worry. In the meantime, that $200,000 is for you and Susan. You've earned it for your kindness. That's my gift to you, so don't spend it on the kids. That money is yours and Susan's. Adrian and Susan were overwhelmed with all the money, and soon they bought a small house and started a cafe with it. And despite this blessing, the siblings continued to visit Bobby and their mission of supporting orphan children.